The African culture is filled with many traditions. Some are still relevant, others are considered outmoded but are still being practiced. The Dipo tradition of the Krobo ethnic group of Ghana is a ceremony that marks the entry of girls into womanhood.
Along the Gulf of Guinea, in West Africa, is the country Ghana, formerly known as the Gold Coast. Ghana has many ethnic groups with many traditions. Among these ethnic groups are the Krobo people, found mainly in the eastern region. The Krobos, for as long as could be remembered, have held a rite of passage ceremony for young girls to transition them into womanhood. This puberty rites for girls they call Dipo. Only girls who have abstained from sexual intercourse are permitted to partake in Dipo. Once the announcement is made as to when in April the ceremony will begin, parents begin preparing the girls. The girls are sent to the fetish priest, who through several rituals determines if the girl meets the requirements for Dipo. The girls are assigned a ritual mother, who will now see them through the ceremony. Their hairs are shaved and they are given ritual baths meant to cleanse them of evil spirits and also to signify that they have entered into a new realm of their lives. The blood of slaughtered castrated goats is used by the fetish priest to wash the feet of the girls, also meant to waste away evil. Now, the girls are ready for a week or so of seclusion, during which they are given lessons to prepare them for adulthood. They are taught manners of the home like cooking, cleaning, how to speak and relate to elders, relatives, and a spouse. Sex education is also a part of this teaching. The girls are taken through various Krobo traditions. All these, according to practitioners, are meant to ready them for marriage, a family, and to make them good members of the community. After the period of seclusion, the girls are ready to be adults. Dressed in a typical Dipo outfits, which mainly comprise of beads around the neck, waist, and arms, and a thin cloth covering private parts, with the breasts and most of the bodies exposed. The girls are paraded through the streets of the town to show the community that they are now women. These days, various changes are being made to accommodate modern sentiments. The punishment for girls found pregnant or indulging in sexual activities prior to the ceremony, which could include humiliation and banishment from the town, has been raising eyebrows and has encountered various criticism.
Welcome back, viewers, to YAWP Star. Today, I have decided to welcome a special guest on our plateau, and he is Luis, the co-founder of Tavia Network, and he's from Ghana, so he's very much into culture, which is why I've decided to invite him over and for him to have a chit-chat with us about our topic, which is Dipo. Hello, Luis. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, how are you today?
I'm well.
Are you feeling good?
Yeah, I'm
excited?
okay. I'm excited to be
All
here.
right. So, tell us, what have you heard about Dipo?
What have I heard about Dipo? I've had opportunity to experience some of the effects or affects of Dipo. When I was growing up in Ghana, I watched a televised version of a girl being banished from her town because she had become pregnant prior to the ceremony. So what was done was she was humiliated publicly. So they sat her in a chair publicly, and they had goat's blood spilled on her feet, and all kinds of other rituals were done. Libation was poured, and when they were done, they took broom and they swept behind her as they walked her out of town. I guess the sweeping was supposed to indicate they're sweeping whatever evil or whatever she has brought to the town, because they do believe if you don't, go through the depot and you become pregnant, you do bring a curse to the town. So I think that's basically my experience with it, and we actually did learn about depot in school and under cultural studies. I'm an Akan, and in Akan we have the same practice, and we call it bragro.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we have the same similar practice to the depot, which is from the Krobos. Yeah.
And I'm very glad that you brought up the point that you are Akan, because in Akan culture, it is believed that women represent beauty, purity, and dignity of the society. Therefore, if you think about it, people tend to develop good character and integrity during the younger age, which they spend around their mothers. Therefore, in a sense, it makes sense to raise good women in order to raise a good society. So, what do you think of that belief system?
I think if you're asking if what I think about in relation to the ceremony, I think it's good that we raise good people. Period. But I mean, there's a saying, if you've ever heard, that if you educate a man, you educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate a whole nation. It's because I believe as children grow, they tend to take to the mother. So the mother becomes sort of the teacher, more than the father. So it is more emphasis has been laid, on raising a good woman, not as much on the man, which should be the same. But I agree with that. That women, to raise a good woman, would raise a good home.
Okay. All these aspects of the ceremony and going through Dipo are all good. And during the actual ceremony, which is held after the period of seclusion of the girl, they come out wearing beads and wearing little, with the church sewing, and a cloth is wrapped around the waist with the beads, and they come out, they do this little dance, and then just to show themselves to the community, to see how they are and how they basically how womanly they look. So, and then everybody now have the opportunity to see them how they are. However, today with Dipo, many of the girls are running away from it. So what can you say about this trend that's going on and the connection between the
two? I believe it's not just recently. I believe it's been going on where girls at maybe older than, let's say, 14 were resisting the ceremony. They would not want to go through it because they did not want to bear almost naked to walk in state where so everyone to see them. And that's been the tradition where they wear very little. And I guess the idea behind that was, they had arranged marriages back in those days, and it was for the parents and everyone to see what women they're picking for their son. They want to see about deformities and things like that. And I guess some also believe it's to see how well the woman is formed to, in order to have to be able to reproduce, I guess. So but that trend is being going on where women are shy. They're shy. The older they get, the shyer they get. So that's what, as you said, 9 years old now. The age is being drawn back and allowing. I remember learning in school that it would be puberty back then, where it would be somewhere between 12 and 16. But now I think they're drawing even farther back, to allow girls that won't be shy at that age to do it too. So I don't know if I answered your question. I don't know if I answered your question, but I think the trend is going to continue because women are shy, and the more they're exposed to other cultures and the new social media going on, they are going to be more like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be walking around in state naked. So that's
And speaking of exposure, I think that the men's rite of passage is not given as much prominence, much importance as the women's rite of passage. With that being said, go ahead.
I don't even know if we have any rites of passage for men in Akan. So yeah.
And very interesting. So with those aspect, or should I say differences, when earlier you mentioned that this girl was banished for having sex before Dipo. So with that being said, do you think it's kind of discriminative towards the woman when that happens, because she gets most of the punishment while the men just get less?
Right. I believe that the actual notion is that if both people are found, if a woman, for instance, gets pregnant before she goes through the ceremony, I believe both she and the man will end up being thrown out of the town. But I think what mostly happens is that the woman will not even mention who did it, who the guy is most of the time, because sometimes it's an elder, and, somebody prominent. So most of the time they will not even mention who the guy is. Because I remember the one I'm talking about, for instance, I believe the guy was not even part of it at all. Nobody knew who the guy was. Yeah, I think it was because she refused to, to say who the father of the baby was.
Okay, you bring up some very interesting point here. So overall, do you think that the Dipo tradition is outmoded and should be scrapped?
I don't think we should get rid of all our traditions. As we get more Western, we are getting rid of most of our traditions. But I don't think we should get rid of our traditions, but rather we should build on our traditions. We should refine them, right? I don't see a need for a woman to be walking half naked in state just for that ceremony. I don't see the purpose of walking almost naked. But I see a value in taking the women through those lessons. Teaching them how to cook, how to clean, how to manage a home, how to raise kids. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see a value in teaching a woman how to talk to elders, how to handle herself in the community. But I guess another thing to add to the refine. Maybe we should create something for a man too, because it takes two to build a home.
Yep. Very true, and I completely agree. Though it's coming from a man's perspective, but coming from also a woman's perspective, I completely agree, because it does take two to raise a family, and culture is not static; it is dynamics. Therefore, as people change, as time changes, those traditions should also accommodate those time, and also taking the opinion of those people participating in those ceremonies. The girls, sure, they don't want to go around naked because they're shy, and among many other things. Therefore, their opinion also should matter, and the men should also start taking part in those traditions. Their rites of passage shouldn't be somewhere out there, but also should be shown like the women's, because they're also equally important. So, thank you, Louise, for coming to the plateau today and talk about this amazing topic with us. So you were watching YAWP Star, and I'm your host, Anne Marcelle. See you again for another superb topic.